Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we have our top 13 best solo games of all time. Last year we did top 11. We've played 11 more games this year though, so we're going to push it out to 13 total. Let's give you a few stats here real quick before we get into this. So 67 games have been, or I've played 67 games in their solo form, you know, whether it's a solo variant or official solo mode or however I've played it. I've played 67 different games solo, which, like I said, is 11 more games than last year. Last year I was only at 56, I believe, and that's a total of 501 solo plays of all those different games and about 694 hours of solo gaming at this point. And my H index is 10 for solo games, which means that I've played at least 10 games 10 different times. So that gives you an idea of kind of what this list is being pulled from. Now, before we get into the list, I do want to mention our sponsor, Board Game Co. This is a great website where you can buy, sell, and trade games. They have a great selection of games to choose from if you're just looking to build out your collection, just trying to, figure out how to make that perfect board game collection. They can help you out with that. They also can buy games from you. If you are looking to get rid of, 6 or 7 games, don't send them to 6 or 7 different people. Don't ship them 6 or 7 different places. Ship them all to the same place over at Board Game Co. And then, of course, you can trade with them. If you have a Board Game Geek account and you've built a trade list on Board Game Geek, take your Board Game Geek username, drop it into Board Game Co. They will then compare your trade list with their stock and build a custom trade list right there on their website. Makes it very easy to facilitate a trade. I strongly recommend it. If you do check them out, click on the link in the description below so they know I sent you over there. Board Game Co. makes it easy to buy, sell, and trade your way into a better collection. Now, before we get into the list, I do want to mention we have a brand new Patreon set up, and this is something that I have been thinking about setting up for a while. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to do it or what I want to do with it, but it's something that I have finally set up, and the reason for that is because, I'm focusing in a lot on instructional videos, more so than I ever have before. I know that is the primary thing people come to the channel for. Any way I look at the analytics, it's clear instructional videos are the main thing people want to see over here, and those are very time consuming. These top, this is the top 13 list, the top 50 most played games that I'll be putting out in May. Those are all, very time consuming and it takes some time, and YouTube, you make a little bit of money from YouTube. I wanted to do a little bit more, just again to help support the hobby and to help support the channel and to try to continue to bring you great new content for the channel. If you go over to the Patreon, which you can find the link in the description below or in these cards up here in the top of your screen, we have a few different things that we're offering over there. The key is that all the tiers offer the same thing. I want anybody who feels that my channel is worth donating any money whatsoever, I want everybody to have access to the same stuff. So if you become a patron, you will get early access to all the videos on the channel by at least 24 hours. So that's the first thing. Then also there are going to be bonus videos over on Patreon. There is one there already. A lot of these are going to focus in on showing you the analytics behind my channel. We're actually diving in monthly to exactly what the analytics are on YouTube, showing you how kind of a behind the scenes look at everything going on with the channel. And and I don't know, there's not a lot of channels that do that, so this can give you an idea of how things work with other YouTube channels as well, with their analytics and what they're making and what how different videos are performing and all that kind of stuff. Once a month, speaking of instructional videos, by the way, since that is one of the primary reasons I'm doing the Patreon now, once a month on Patreon, I will give all my patrons the ability to vote on one game in my collection that I will script into a video. And then finally, anybody who is a patron will have their name added to the end of video credits. So just a few things there, a few ways to say thank you for supporting the channel. I hope if you find anything at all monetarily valuable to you from the channel, if you find it entertaining or instructional, please consider going over there, and I really, really appreciate that. Okay, so here we go. Without anything else, we're going to get right into this list. And like I said, 13 games. That means we're going to do this in 13 minutes, starting right now. All right, so number 13 is Star Wars Imperial Assault. Now, this was 19 last year, so it has really risen back up in the ranks. And a lot of this is, it's kind of strange because I actually have not played this in the past year, but I have a group now that really is enjoying playing campaign games, and I am excited to finally get this out and play through the campaign. Not the one versus many campaign, not where one person plays as the Empire and one person and everybody else, up to 4 other players, play as the Rebels. I'm really excited about the cooperative campaign that's app-based. Everybody plays on the same side. It is really, really exciting. A lot of dice rolling, but also a lot of building up your character, working your way through these missions, fighting against all kinds of classic Star Wars bad guys. You've got stormtroopers. You've got Darth Vader shows up every now and then, which is a real problem when he does. You've got the Imperial Guard, I think is what they're called. The guys that are in red that you don't see fight a whole lot or at all in the movies, and you see them fight a little bit in some of the animated, I think. Anyway, Star Wars Imperial Assault at number 13. Number 12 is Euphoria. This dropped just one notch down to 12, so kind of holding steady. Euphoria is from Stonemaier Games, where you are kind of in this dystopia. I mean, it's called Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia. So you are in this dystopia, and you are collecting workers. Your workers are dice, though, right? And as you're using them, you're going to end up rolling them some, and the numbers on the dice represent their knowledge, or I guess more their awareness of the dystopia, of the fact that they're living in a dystopia. And the more knowledgeable your workers are, the better they are as workers. But if you have too many knowledgeable workers together at the same time, they can end up realizing they are in a dystopia, at which point your most knowledgeable one will run away, and then you'll have to recruit new workers. A lot of interesting stuff going on here. 4 different factions on the board. I believe it's just 4 that you're kind of working with to become the greatest leader or to take down the dystopia. Number 11 is Shadows of Kilforth. Brand new on the list. This is one of 4 new games on the list. Shadows of Kilforth takes place in the same world as Gloom of Kilforth. I haven't played Gloom yet, but I really want to. I'm pretty sure you can actually combine both games together. Lots of cards, gorgeous artwork. I love the artwork in this game. Lots of cards and different kind of factions, but you in different classes, and you create a hero at the beginning, and you're going through, and there's this kind of overarching bad guy that's going to end up coming at the end of the game, but you're working through your own personal storyline as you're going to these different places on the board, collecting all kinds of cool gear and companions, and fighting cool enemies, and lots of neat stuff happens in this game, and it's one that definitely should be experienced. It's Shadows of Kilforth. Number 10 is Madara, dropping just 1 spot, so holding steady. Madara is another one that I'm really excited to get my group into. It's not the first, it's not the next campaign game we're going to play, but we are going to play it at some point. Madara is this massive, it's like you're playing through a anime novel almost. The artwork has this heavy anime kind of feel to it, very, very colorful, very kind of over the top, and the campaign itself, the story itself, excuse me, is in this, I want to say it's like a 500-page book that's also got all the missions in it. But so in between missions, sometimes you'll have like 5 or 6 pages of story in between the missions, and I'm talking like, big pages of like double column story, and it is so cool the amount of time that went into creating the story for this game. One of the coolest features of Madara, you can create your own classes. You build your heroes from the ground up. There's no preset classes in this game. Then we've got number 9, Warfighter, specifically Warfighter Shadow War. This is brand new to the list. This is heavily based in reality as far as how you are in Shadow War, your special forces or special operations, I should say. And so in this one, you're going to have a squad of 1 or 2, maybe 3 people, and you're kind of being set in behind enemy lines. It's completely card-based, but you're set in, behind enemy lines. A lot of times you'll pick how you're going to infiltrate. You complete the mission. You're kind of moving along this line, completing the mission. In Shadow War, you have to worry about your sound because it's like a night mission. You're trying to be sneaky, and then you're going to have to exfil at the end. There's lots of different versions of Warfighter. I've only played Shadow War so far. I want to play World War II. I want to play the different versions. And they have Warfighter Fantasy coming out real soon. It's currently in production, getting ready to fulfill later, hopefully later this year. You never really can tell with everything that's going on with shipping these days. Number 8 is Tainted Grail. Now, this one fell from number 3. I was real hot on this last year. I still love this game. I've got the expansions. I have not played the expansions yet. They are going to get played. Tainted Grail is a fantastic game. It's a dark retelling of King Arthur's story, except it happens like 600 years after King Arthur. You are not the hero. You are like the D-list hero, right? And all the real heroes have disappeared or been killed, and it's your job to save the day. Though this stuff called the weirdness is creeping into Avalon, and everybody's dying, and you have got to do what you can to save the day. And you really don't know what you're doing, but you're going to go out there and you're going to try. It's got a very cool combat system. I love the combat system and the diplomacy system. Lots of people love it, but lots of people dislike it too. It's a very polarizing system, but if you do like it, then you'll find a lot to enjoy in Tainted Grail. Hey everybody, so we have a surprise giveaway for this one. I didn't want to mention it at the top. I just wanted this to be anybody who actually manages to make it this far into the video. Surprise! We have a giveaway. This is going to be from our clearance shelf today. This is a shelf where I put some games. And I'm like, you know what? Let's get these games. Let's give some people some opportunity to win these games. So on the clearance shelf right now, we have We actually have. Let's see, a couple of. What do they call it? Prototypes over there, and then numerous other actual games. So let's go through real quick what we've got. We've got My City. Now, the campaign is completed, so you'll be winning this as the Eternal game. My City, the Eternal game, is available over there. One Night Revolution, Underleague. We've got Detective. That's the Bloody Red Rose version of Detective. And then we've got Zen Blocks, which is this kind of weird little game that I found at a thrift store one time. We've got 2 different decks of Sanctuary, or 2 different sets of Sanctuary, which I believe is 4 decks total. And that is a prototype. We have the prototype of Loop, Life of Ordinary People, which was essentially completed, but it is technically a prototype. We have the Game of 49. We have the prototype of Galactic Era, which I have videos on my channel of that as well. Of all 3 of those prototypes, there's videos on my channel. So there's also a couple of promo cards over there, and I'll whoever wins, I'll send you an email that has those promo cards listed. That whole list will be on in the email, and then you can choose from any 2 of those games. And you know what? Let's make it any 3. Any 3 things, including the promo cards, you can choose from. So be sure to check a link in the description below so you can enter that contest. And back to the list. Number 7 is Root. Holding steady at number 7. This one is one of the hardest ones to teach people to play. Every faction in Root is incredibly asymmetric. In the base game itself comes with 4 factions, and really, when you play, you really want to play with all 4 factions to get the most out of it. But like I said, very asymmetric, and so then you're literally teaching each person a completely different way to play the game. But that struggle is also what makes Root so fantastic and so fun once people know how to do it. I have a group of 3 right now, including myself, so maybe we'll play Root with just 3 people, and I'll teach them how to play the game. I have the Clockwork expansion, which is fantastic for solo play, and then I have the one with the Corvids. I can't remember what the Underground, I think, is what it's called. Another cool one. That's Root. Number 6, Hadrian's Wall, brand new to the list. This is the third new one on the list. What a incredibly good game. This is one that I was pretty sure I'd enjoy, but I had no clue how much fun I'd have with this game. This one it has the feel of a roll and write. You're definitely writing on pads of paper the whole game, but there's no rolling. So it's more, it's like a flip and write because you're flipping cards, but also got a little bit of a worker placement thing to it, even though technically the workers don't get placed anywhere. It's more like, okay, I'm going to use this worker, and then you scratch things off on your page. So it kind of has like this roll and write, worker placement combination feel to it. And there's so much going on your papers. You're all like, I have this problem where I need to focus in on one strategy, but there's so many cool things that can happen on these papers at any time that I really have to focus if I want to be successful in the game and not get spread out all over the place because I want to do everything. Number 5 is Kingdom Death Monster. Now, keep in mind, this is my solo list. Kingdom Death Monster is number 5 on my solo. Last year, it was number 1 on my best games of all time this past May. It might be again this coming May, but for solo play it's number 5 because I just feel like there's some games that handle solo a little bit better. Kingdom Death Monster is this massive campaign, which, by the way, me and my friends, this is the campaign we're going to be starting next. Finally, I've got a group that's going to play this with me. Kingdom Death Monster, my goodness, is this massive campaign where you and your fellow survivors are just in this horrific hellscape, and there's these horrible monsters that are always coming after you, and you have got to do anything you can to survive. And the key here is that you're not focused on making this survivor survive. You're focused on making the settlement survive, because anything at any moment could kill that survivor. There's a lot of times when individual survivors die from die rolls, and you have to be okay with that in Kingdom Death Monster and realize that it's not the individual survivor that matters, it's the entire settlement that matters, and you've got to build your settlement to survive even when your top guy gets taken out, or 3 of your mid-tier guys get taken out. You still got to be able to survive and keep that settlement going. That's Kingdom Death Monster. Number 4 is Cloudspire. Wow, I took too much time with Kingdom Death. Cloudspire is my number 4. This is a beautiful, massive game from Chip Theory, where you've got the poker chip kind of pog-looking guys that are going to go all over the board. It's kind of a tower defense game where a lot of your people are almost automated. There are some decisions to be made, but still almost automated, and they're moving out across this map, and you're setting up spires, which are the towers basically, that are going to be firing at the bad guys, and the bad guys are going to be doing the same to you, and it has this kind of push and pull kind of feel to it until finally some of your guys get through to the other side and take out your enemy's base. Number 3 is Sleeping Gods. This is the highest new one on the list. Sleeping Gods is so good. Oh man, now this is one that I have only played solo, and I've played 3-player one time, but one of the players that was playing isn't in a narrative-based game, so I gotta play it again to see how I like it with multiple players. But playing solo was just fantastic, and it's got this massive world, this really big world of all these islands. And you are just, you're sailing around in your ship, going to different islands, and every different island is going to have these story points, and you're collecting these totems, and you're trying to either wake up or not wake up these sleeping gods with the totems. At the end of the game, you play through this event deck 3 times. After the 3rd time, that's the end of the game, and then you'll see how you did based on which totems you found. And there's some unlockable stuff. It's not really like a campaign in the sense that the campaign continues every time, but it's more of it's like a campaign in that set, and then depending on how you do, you can play with new rules the next time you play the campaign. Sleeping Gods is a lot of fun. Number 2 is Gloomhaven. This fell from number 1. It's number 2 now. What a wonderful, fantastic game. Gloomhaven and Gloomhaven Jowls of the Lion, both of those, I'm kind of including them both here, but Gloomhaven is a huge, it's got like 90-something scenarios in it, and I've got to get through it before Frosthaven shows up. Unfortunately, Frosthaven is taking a little longer to show up than we thought it would, so I've got some more time, and there's so many unlockable classes and characters in Gloomhaven, and so many fantastic and cool monsters. And so you have your entire hand of cards at the beginning of the game, and you play 2 every time. Do the top action of one, bottom action of the other. Just I can't even comprehend how this game was balanced, like how they managed to balance it, because there's so many factors in this game, but somehow they did. Gloomhaven. And finally, number 1, which was number 2 last year, Mage Knight. Mage Knight and Gloomhaven are going to be like locked in battle for the number 1 spot for years, I think. And Mage Knight is kind of the original epic one-player game, at least from what I understand. Came out like in 2012 or something, I believe. That's my time. And you are a Mage Knight, and you are, depending on which scenario you're going along, and you are moving along in this countryside initially, and then you make it to the core later, and you're going to run across monasteries and roaming orcs or dragons, and you know, there's ruins where you can find artifacts, and there's monster dens and all these different places, and you're slowly building up your fame, which levels you up as you go along. You can hire people to, you know, to assist you. You hire these different units. You can get low-level units, all the way up to level 4 units, and level 4 units are really badass. And Mage Knight is a deck builder, but it's a slow burn deck builder, because you're only going to go through your deck, I think, 6 times in a game. And so the cool thing with this is, because you're only going through your deck 6 times in a game, when you get a new card to add to your deck, you actually get to put it on top of your deck instead of in your discard pile, because the discard pile is where most deck builders have you put the card. This one you put it on top of your deck, that way you get to use it almost immediately, which is really cool, feels really good. A lot of cool stuff going on in Mage Knight, and that's my number 1 best solo game of all time. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.